Buenos dias, everybody. Oli here again. Hope you guys are having a great morning. It is the sixth day of the week. I know what day it is. It is the day of the pagan god Thor. And speaking of these ancient customs, rituals, practices, traditions, whatever that we are reading about, you all can almost rest assured that all these Marvel and DC comic characters are pretty much all based on pagan gods. For instance, you I was just thinking about this right now when I was in the shower, but you have Superman, which is my favorite superhero, but his Hebrew name is Kalel, Kalel. And I have been showing y'all what that word El means. It means God. So Kal-El, I think I remember looking it up. It means the voice of God. Okay, and the Trinity doctrine is also embedded when he says something like, I will see your world through your eyes and my world through yours, and the Father becomes the Son and the Son becomes the Father. That is the whole teaching of the Trinity. I mean, Thor is a pagan god, and then you have the fish god Dagon or Dagon, which is Aquaman. Then you have Diana, which is Superwoman or Wonder Woman, whatever her name is. These are all pagan figures. Diana of Ephesus. Praise Yahweh for his great knowledge and understanding and wisdom. I'm just saying, people, look it up for yourselves. I mean, it's kind of hard. I mean, or rather, these people couldn't have come up with better ideas for their characters. Like I said, I enjoy watching those movies. And I grew up watching, Batman. I've always liked Batman as a kid. Superman's my favorite superhero. But yeah, a lot of those characters are, based on pagan mythology. That's crazy. But anyways, I'd like to continue more here on this booklet that I have been reading to y'all. It's very, very informative. And like I stated, once you learn how to put all these things together, you'll start seeing that a lot of these pagan practices have been brought down to us through the ages because of our fathers and forefathers and grandparents and all of that. But I would like to say, yes, it's sin to idolize these things. But, I think as long as we don't bow down and worship, we'll be all right. But that's my opinion. Okay, there's nothing wrong with watching movies. I just think it's wrong to let your children, but that's your choice. I just think it's wrong to let your children, as kids, growing up watching violent movies with people with guns, anything that promotes violence. Because if I had a son, I wouldn't like it if my kid came up to me with a play gun that I bought him and put him up, pops. Oh no, believe me, I would whoop his little ass. So you're not gonna be doing that to me, okay? I wouldn't want my kids growing up around anything like that, But anyways, so yeah, like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with watching these kind of movies. I think the most problem is, of course, is worshiping them, idolizing those kind of stuff. Let alone celebrities. I mean, we're all human, yeah. So we're all gonna sin in one way, shape, form, or another. But it's crazy to let some of the children today idolize celebrities, celebrities in sports, celebrities and anything else. It's. I mean, we've seen a lot of the news on these people's everyday's wrongful actions. But not making judgments. It's just the fact that there's one guy that lived and died for us who we should follow, not idolize, but follow. Okay. But anyways, and continuous here about the birthdays and other traditions, customs, whatever practices. It says reading from the New Larousse Encyclopedia of Mythology, translated by Richard Aldington and Delano Ames, Crown Publishers from New York, 1987. Edition, page 217, we find this information about the gods of the family. Genius. The genius was by definition the creative force which engendered the individual. It watched. Ooh, loud bang. There was another one. Might be dynamiting somewhere around here. It watched over his development and remained with him until the hour of his destruction. It presided over his marriage and over the nuptial bed, for this reason being entitled Genialis. It appeared at the birth of the being whose function it was to protect. It formed the infant's personality. The power of the child's genius depended on luck. If it was a boy, its tutelary, tutelary spirit was a genius. If it was a girl, then it would be Juno. Like in Beetlejuice, Juno. Again, I'm sure the character, the woman who played that part, I'm sure the name Juno had some kind of significance. Obviously, Beetlejuice is a great movie. It's one of my favorites. But there was a lot of these things about manifesting the dead, calling upon the dead, which is also against Yahweh's laws, like I read to y'all yesterday, out of the law of Moses. So I mean, like I said, once you begin to do scriptural studies, the doctrines, you read the laws, you start seeing these things almost in a lot of these movies today that bring up that kind of stuff. It's really cool. I mean, I can't emphasize enough at telling people, hey man, read, at least take the time to read what's in the law of Moses. You'd be surprised what's in there. That's why none of it can be done away with, because it helps you identify these things. It gives light and it tells you to choose righteousness or to choose sin. Okay. So little does today's modern world realize that when they celebrate the birthday of a child, they are in fact dedicating that child to a pagan demon god. Furthermore, in these pagan birthday rituals, request is made to demon gods to guide and teach this child. Please keep in mind the fact that these are the same demon gods who opposed Yahweh through Nimrod, or through the Nimrod system, rebellion. Continuing to read from the same source reference, we read, the genius and the Juno did not accomplish their protective mission unassisted. They had many auxiliaries. Nundina presided over the infant's purification. Vaticanus made it utter its first cry. Educa and Potina taught it to eat and drink. Educa, I guess, is where we get the word education from, or educar, meaning to teach. Potina, it's a Latin word. I think it has to do something with the word being potente or potent. Cuba kept it quiet in its cradle. Ocipago and Carna saw to the development of its bones and flesh. Carna means carnal, and carne also means meat or the flesh. And I guess Ocipago has to do with the bones. Aviona and Adiona taught it to walk. Sentinus or Sentinus saw to the awakening of the infant's intellectual faculties and such like. Many people, it's a great thing to speak in two languages, whether you want to call it Latin, but I speak Mexican. But we do use a lot of the Latin words or the Latin context in my culture, because it sounds really ridiculous when I hear, and like I said, I don't like using these words to describe anybody, but when I hear a white man say El Dorado, come on, man. And then you're telling me to speak English in this country when you can't even pronounce those words the right way. It's El Dorado. Okay. And it's not Colorado, it's Colorado. It's not California, it's California. It's not Nevada, it's Nevada or Nevada. And it's not Texas, it's Texas with a J, not with an X. But anyways, so yeah, it sounds kind of cool. It's cooler to pronounce these Latin words the way they are meant to be pronounced. It makes a lot more sense. In a word, the genius fostered the growth in all the intellectual and moral faculties of the individual, of whom it was a kind of abstract double, like an avatar, I guess. Ooh, I gotta look that up. Let me write that down. The cult rendered to the genius was very simple. On the day of birth, it was offered wine and flowers. I think it's Bacchus who is the wine god. I think I looked that up one time because one of my favorite groups, Typo Negative, has a song on their October Rust album, I believe. It's called In Praise of Bacchus, and Bacchus was the wine god. Google it, look it up. The cult rendered to the genius was very simple. On the day of birth, it was offered wine and flowers, after which there was dancing. Afterwards, there was dancing. The genius was first represented as a serpent. Ooh. Later, the genius of the head of the family was depicted as a man in a toga. He was installed between the Penates and the Lar. With him sometimes appeared the Juno of the wife. I was thinking about something this morning while I was walking that I was going to say and I forgot. It had to do with, I might have to start writing my stuff down. When today's modern world celebrates a birthday, most of these people do not know that they are practicing demon worship. These deceived people merely look upon this custom as an innocent ritual of praise, but to whom it glorifies and from whence it came, they do not know. This is more or less what I was thinking about. Some people may not see no harm in it, but even using pagan words like Amen, that is a pagan sun god. I know a lot of us, even me at one time, were taught that it means so be it, but it is still a pagan word. If you look through our restored version of the Holy Scriptures, you do not find that word in there. You instead find Hallelujah Yahweh, which means praise Yahweh. You do not find words like good in there. You find the word God, but only when gods are being referred to. You do not find the word Jesus in there. Gospel, you do not find it in this restored version. A lot of words, like I stated in other videos, we don't use a lot of those words because that's invoking pagan gods. And besides, in Exodus, let me see if I remember where it's at. This is what it means after being called out. We do not mention those hinder gods we left behind. It is in, I can't remember where it's at. No, I don't like using spit like that. I think it's in 13. Nope, I can't find it. But it says somewhere in here about not mentioning those gods that we left behind after being called out. Okay. So the house of Yahweh teaches us that. And as a matter of fact, there is a prophecy. I think I know where that one's at. It says that Yahweh in those days would restore the pure language to us. That is what I'm referring to, and has been only been prophesied of through the house of Yahweh. It says in Hosea or Hosea, chapters 2, verse 16, it says, "And it will be in that day, says Yahweh, that you will call me Ishi, or my husband, and will no longer call me Bali, which means my Lord." We don't even use that name for Yahweh. "For I will take away the names of Balim, the lords, the gods, Elohim, and goddesses out of her mouth, and their names will no longer be called upon." See? These things are only coming to pass through the house of Yahweh. Our language, are the words we use, even though I do use sometimes, and I use them for the purposes of these videos to make my points, but I don't refer to my Father in heaven as God, as Lord, or as the man upstairs, because Yahweh is not a man that he can change his mind. I hear a lot of people and see people's posts on Facebook every day. "Oh, I'd like to thank the man upstairs." I'm just saying. It's just like this guy made a real good example to me. I think I might have commented on it on one of my videos when he said, for example, let's say you marry this girl and all of a sudden, women don't want to be called any names that you might have called your ex-girlfriend or ex-wife, but it's okay to call them baby, babe. In the case of us here in South Texas and Mexican Latin speaking people, mi ruca, my chick. But baby's okay, I mean, it's no big deal. But what I'm saying is, I don't think she's gonna like it if you call her by your ex girlfriend's name. If her name is Mary, for example, of all names, right? If her name is Mary and you call her Lori, your ex girlfriend's name, oh man, you just done lit up a fire that you won't be able to put out. Believe me, women today, crazy. Anyways, that's just an example, okay? So it's always great to refer to our Father in heaven, the same name he gave the children of Israel, the same name he gave to Abraham, the same name he gave to Moshe, the same name he gave to all his holy prophets, the Messiah, apostles, disciples, and so on. Okay. Like I said, I think also in another video, might have been the same video where I first brought this out. If you're gonna, I never call my stepdad dad. I always call him by his name. But when I speak to my little sister, which is her dad, I always say dad. Hey, has dad called you? Blah blah blah, this and that. But anyways, I don't think I want to call. If y'all knew my family, I don't think I want to call my stepdad Jerry by his brother's name. Believe me, I don't want to light no fire with my own man. But anyways, so let me read that part again. When today's modern world celebrates a birthday, most of these people do not know that they are practicing demon worship. These deceived people merely look upon this custom as an innocent ritual of praise, but to whom it glorifies and from whence it came, they do not know. So again, a lot of people may not see the harm in it, but you do actually start invoking demon worship. When you call upon the pagan gods, you're invoking pagan gods' names. So it's a lot better if we make a choice and stop using those pagan gods' names, because it is against any and all kinds of idolatry, which is God worship, goes against Yahweh's word. Okay. From Funk and Wagnall's Standard Dictionary of Folklore, Mythology, and Legend, Funk and Wagnall's Publishing Company, Incorporated, 1972, page 444, gives us this information. Genius, or plural genii. In Roman religion, a protecting spirit, essentially an indigenous Roman belief comparable to the late Greek concept of the daemon and to the later Christian belief in the guardian angel. Did you notice how this demon worship ties in with modern Christianity? But instead of calling it what it is, a demon, they call it an angel. Or people try to pray to angels, to the guardian angel, Michael or Gabriel or whoever, to guard their children. We have our protector. We have our spiritual guide, and that is Yahweh. But as I've shown you on the scriptures, and the scriptures clear themselves, if we do not do Yahweh's will, He's not going to hear our prayers. Okay, it's just like when people say, "Well, if I ask the Lord to bless the pork, then I can eat it." No comment. That's ridiculous. Keep in mind that this worship did not originate from the Holy Scriptures inspired to be written in your Bible. This worship originated in pagan devil worship and those who oppose Yahweh. This worship is condemned in the Holy Scriptures by Yahweh's prophets of old. We read this warning in Deuteronomy 12:28 through 32. It says, "Observe and obey all these words I command you, so it may go well with you and with your children after you forever." Forever. Not until the Messiah comes and does all away with the laws. He didn't do that. When you do what is lawful and holy in the sight of Yahweh your Father. It's just like growing up. If we behaved, a lot of times, I wasn't given a lot of things, but that was That was to show me that your righteous character doesn't necessarily mean you deserve a reward. Okay? I learned that the hard way, believe me. When Yahweh your Father cuts off the nations from in front of you and you displace them and live in their land, be careful not to be ensnared into following them by asking about their gods or their practices or their cultures or their traditions or their mythologies, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? I will also do the same. You are partaking of somebody else's possibly evil deeds. You must not worship Yahweh your Father in their way, for every abomination to Yahweh which he hates they have done to their gods. They even burn their sons and daughters in the fire as sacrifices to their gods. Whatsoever I command you, be careful to observe and do it. You shall not add to it nor take away from it. Okay? The only thing we can put our whole heart into is the keeping of Yahweh's laws. That is what he wants, as we covered in the past few videos, that we will be judged according to how we perform the law. Oh, hey, yeah, it's the Sabbath. Let's get together and let's study, or let's all do a fasting. Let's get some rest, some sleep. Let's prepare everything on the preparation day so that we do not break Yahweh's Sabbath. It's great. Let's study. But Yahweh knows if you're doing it wholeheartedly or if you're just acting. Say, hey, it's the Sabbath. I want to do this. I was even asked when I was in the feds by this guy that I still talk to. He's on my Facebook. And I can't thank Yahweh enough for giving me the right words when he asked me, why are you doing that on Saturday? I said, because I choose to do it. And it was my choice. And like I stated in the past couple of videos, I found so much peace, if in fact I did it the right way. When I fasted, I did not hold conversations with anybody. I kept to myself. I studied the word. And when you focus like that, your mind doesn't tell you, hey, you're hungry or you're thirsty. Okay? It's a great feeling. It really is. I mean, it's truly a great blessing. It's really amazing. Okay? Remember, in Funk and Wagnall's Standard Dictionary of Folklore, Mythology, and Legend, we just read that genius in pagan ancestral religion is nothing more but a demon. Un demonio. Coyer's Encyclopedia, P.F. Coyer, Inc., 1980, Volume 8, page 96, gives this information about demonology. Notice, demonology, the science and art of religious practice which pertains to supernatural beings called from the Greek demons, spirits, or genii. According to the type of demonology believed in, demons are human souls known as genii. So yeah, watching Aladdin, I guess, giving you clear indication where that practice comes from. But don't say anybody. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody else. We are warned over and over throughout the scriptures to prove the spirits to see whether they are of Yahweh or whether they are of the devil. We find this clearly written in 1 John 4:1. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are of Yahweh, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. Clear reference to Matithia 24 about many false prophets will arise and deceive the many. Okay, it takes an in-depth study like this to know how to tell people, look, we can't be doing that in any way, shape, or form. Idolatry is totally sin. 100%. These demonic teachings of worship did not come from Yahweh. They came from pagan god worshippers, stemming from the Nimrod system. The Nimrod system rebelled against Yahweh and came up with all kinds of idolatry that was totally against Yahweh and his way. Whether you ignorantly or knowingly worship a demon, you are still worshiping a demon. Notice what Yeshua Messiah said about this. Again, you see that? Ignorance is not an excuse. Even the laws of the land will tell you. Ignorance is not an excuse. Matithia or Matthew 15:14. Let them alone. They are blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both will fall into the ditch. So there's no excuse, people. This is why we read a few videos back about even breaking Yahweh's laws in the even in the least bit. Like we read in Matithia 5:17 through 20, not one yod, the smallest of the letters, will be done away with until all things are fulfilled. A History of Private Life from Pagan Rome to Byzantium, Volume 1 by Paul Vane and Arthur Goldhammer, 1987, pages 195 through 197, gives us this information about the sacrifices to these demons. The principal rite of every cult was, of course, the rite of sacrifice, which people attended in a contemplative mood. It is important to bear in mind, however, that in a Greek or Latin text, the word sacrifice always implies feast. Every sacrifice was followed by a dinner in which the immolated victim was cooked on the altar and eaten. What did I just read or see in the movie? I want to say it was Apocalypto, or I don't know, but it was a tribe of people who, when I guess when they lost a loved one, they would eat their bodies, or they would eat their hearts or their brains to supposedly gain their knowledge, something like that. I wish I could remember what that was. It was probably a book. I can't remember, but it might have been in these booklets. I can't remember. But anyways, that's probably tied in with same practices. Digressing here, I must inform you that the hearth in each home of the ancient Romans was considered to be an altar. From Compton's Pictured Encyclopedia and Fact Index, 1948, volume 14, page 290, we find Vesta. The hearth in ancient times was the center of family life. It was the place where the meals were prepared, the family gathered. Above all, it was the place where sacrifices were offered to the gods, so that it came to be regarded as a sacred altar. I'll give you an example of modern day sacrificing to the gods. What do most people do on Easter? They cook out to the pagan goddess. They drink to the pagan goddess. What do people do on birthdays? They drink, they cook out, quinceañeras. I'm sure y'all know about us Mexicans. We find an excuse to cook out and grill out and drink for everything. Christmas, pagan sun god, cook out, drink offerings, Mary worship, like I mentioned to y'all. Ask a Catholic, hey, do y'all still do drink offerings and cake offerings to the Queen of Heaven? They're going to tell you, yep. So that is what this is talking about. There's no ignorance, people. Like I stated, once you do all this reading and studying, you get to put these pieces together and they fit, like Jim Carrey said in Ace Ventura, like a glove. Jim Carrey, he's the bomb. He's funny. Anyways, continuing in A History of Private Life, pages 195 through 197, we read, great temples had kitchens and offered the services of their cooks to worshippers who came to sacrifice. The flesh of the victim went to the participants in the ritual, the smoke to the gods. Scraps from the meal were left on the altar, and beggars, or bomoloki, spirited them away. When sacrifice was made, not on a household altar but at a temple, the custom was to pay for the priest's services by leaving them a set portion of the sacrificial animal. Temples earned money by selling this meat to butchers. When Pliny the Younger wishes to inform the emperor that he has eradicated Christianity in the province of which he is governor, he writes, the meat of sacrificial animals is on sale once more. Ugh. Proving that sacrifices have resumed. Which was it? Did people eat sacrificial victims, or did they sacrifice animals they wanted to eat? That depends. The word for a man who made frequent sacrifice, or pilothetes, came to mean not a devout person, but a host who gave good dinners on an amphitryon. So yeah, like I was saying about buying roses and gifts, I guess I'm sure it's okay to cook out, grill, but not on birthdays, not on pagan holidays. Just go outside. Like if I go right now and go buy some fajitas and some chicken, it's for me to eat. It's in my mind that I want to cook outside, make some fajitas, chicken, chicken legs, sausage, beef sausage. Make sure it's not wrapped in pork, and just eat. Thank you, Father, for a great meal, and eat it. Okay. Um, there is a thing that we were being told by other inmates and the feds. So, well, if you guys don't believe in Christmas, how come you're here eating with the rest of us? I'm here to eat, I told them. I'm here to eat my lunch because it's offered by the prison system and I'm here to eat. I'm not bowing down, giving God thanks for Christmas or anything like that. We were just eating. But, like it says in Corinthians, that we know that offering food to God is nothing. I think it's in Corinthians. Okay. So, if I remember correctly, there's nothing wrong with the rest of the house of Yahweh eating foods in that manner. Okay, but again, I said I think, so don't really quote me on it. Okay. The religious calendar, which varied from city to city, was filled with festivals, days when no one was required to work. These occurred at irregular intervals throughout the year. Incidentally, the week, a period of astrological rather than Judeo Christian origin, did not come into common use until the end of the antiquity. On feast days, people invited their friends to sacrifices in their homes. Such invitations were considered a great honor than mere dinner invitations. See, if you invite me to your house to eat, I'm going to ask you first, what are you eating? If you tell me just eat it, I'm going to say, no, I need to know what it is you're cooking because I do not eat pork. It's going to be your sin, eventually mine, if you say, well, it's turkey and it's pork, you'll be held accountable. Okay. I'm just giving you guys an example. We are to ask what you are eating if you invite me over. I have done, and I'm telling you right now because my father sees my actions, but I have willfully and knowingly, per se, even if they give you a plate, let's say let's say you get invited over to a cookout by one of your friends, knowing that it's wrong to eat pork, but they give you a plate. Well, in our case, Mexicans, beans, beans, rice, chicken, steak, and then a jalapeno wrapped in bacon. That whole plate is defiled. It is in the book. It is in the book of. It is in the book of Haggai. Okay, it is a sin to even do that. Ooh. Don't mind me, I just got a dizzy spell. Okay. It is in the book of Haggai, chapter 2, verse 12 and 13. It says, if one carries holy meat in the fold of his garment, and with the fold of his garment touches bread, stew, wine, oil, or any other meat, will they become holy? And the priest answered and said, no, holiness is not infectious. Then, or his name is Chagiah or Haggai asked, but if one who is ceremonially unclean by a dead body touches any of these, will they become unclean? Will they be unclean? And the priest answered and said, what he touches will be unclean. Unholiness is infectious. So, like I said, if somebody invites you and they give you beans, rice, chicken, steak, and there's a piece of bacon on there, throw the whole thing away. It's defiled. Bacon makes chicken, or rather, something unclean makes a clean meat dirty, but a clean meat does not make bacon clean. Okay? So, in other words, uh, because you hang out with somebody who you think is holy, you're not going to become a holy person. I told it to my sister years back and she got mad at me. I told her she was the dirty meat. But anyway, okay. So yeah, people. But like I said, and I'm one of the first to confess to y'all, I've done that and eating the meat. That is my sin. I have to answer for that. Okay. But that's why we have repentance and don't do it again. I try my hardest not to do it anymore. Okay. And I'm not gonna let none of y'all hold that against me, believe me. So vapors of vapors of incense, vapors of incense spewed forth from many houses on these great occasions, according to Tertullian. Tertullian, I think, was one of the early church fathers. Among the important holidays were the national feasts of the emperors, the festivals of certain gods, New Year's Day, and the first day of each month. A custom cherished by Romans wealthy enough to practice it was that of sacrificing a piglet on the first of the month in honor of the household gods, the Lares or the Penates, or the Lares. Once a year, the birthday of the paterfamilias was celebrated, or paterfamilies, or pater means father also, the father families, was celebrated with genuine fervor. On that day, the family feasted in honor of its protective deity or genius. Okay. Pater is Latin for padre, or it means father. So it says pater familias. As you have read for yourselves from this source, reference, or as y'all have heard, sacrifice always implies a feast. The Apostle Shaw said in no, oh, here it is. The Apostle Shaw said in no uncertain terms that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to demons and not to Yahweh. We find this clearly written in 1 Corinthians 10:20. But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to demons and not to Yahweh. And I do not want you to have fellowship with demons. Now, there are churches and assemblies that are trying to keep or celebrate the holy days like Passover and unleavened bread and tabernacles and all that, and even the Sabbaths. But if they're doing it according to their own reasoning or thinking or their own opinions, it's the same thing that Paul is talking about here. You're not doing it according to Yahweh's righteous ordinances found in his law. Therefore, you're keeping it to demons. You're doing it in God worship. A sacrifice does not always mean killing an animal and then eating it. A sacrifice also implies that of merely offering to the gods. This is exactly what anyone does when they offer thanks for their food in the name of God. There you go. Therefore, do not eat any food offered to God or gods. It has been sacrificed to God, therefore defiling it, making it unfit to eat for those who worship Yahweh. This goes in reference again. Why, even if you're, if I were to do that stupid thing I just said about asking Yahweh to bless the pig, that is ridiculous. Why would Yahweh bless something he has set forth as unclean? I know a lot of people still might be rolling your eyes. Oh, come on, Oli. No, hey, no. It's a sin, it's a sin. It's just like I'm not going to go join the military and go kill people. That's murder. I ain't going to do it. If I were a woman, I'm not going to abort no kid. That's murder. That's murder sugar-coated, and it's called abortion. That's the reality of it. I know a lot of people don't like hearing that kind of stuff. They get this, oh my God, oh, OMG, Oli, but that's the truth. Again, ignorance is not going to save you. Okay? Abortion is murder. Just sugar-coated. Life and Leisure in Ancient Rome by JPVD. Balsden, 1969, pages 121 through 122, tells us that these ancient pagan Romans celebrated their birthdays with almost the exact same ritual that people in this modern world use to celebrate their birthdays today. So people, let me just bring you to light again. If you say you're Christian and say, oh, I don't follow no Catholic doctrines, these things are telling you are, in a nutshell, in essence. The birthday of a member of the family, an excuse for festivity, had greater religious significance in Rome than it is apt to have in the modern world. In the house, a turf altar was erected, gaily decked with flowers, and on its offerings of food and wine were made to the genius. In the case of a male member of the family, to the Juno. In the case of a female member, candles were lit and incense was burnt. Until AD 392, Theodosius forbade such pagan practices. Well, somebody there trying to put an end to that stuff. Everybody wore white. I just had a bad Oh man, I got such a bad memory sometimes. Everybody wore white. What does a woman wear to a wedding when she's been married like 20 times? I think George Lopez again, or somebody, and a Latino comedian said they need to wear something more like an off-white if they've been married that many times. Oh man, I'm sorry. There was a birthday party, a dinner to which guests, relatives, and friends were invited and brought presents, or if they could not come, sent them. And like George Lopez also said, they were sent the receipts that they were from Walmart, so you can return those things if you didn't want them. Those who are still celebrating their birthdays with these rituals are still sacrificing to demons, just as it had been practiced according to the rites of ancestral custom from antiquity. I would like to remind the reader and the hearer that these customs came from nations who worship demons. I think even Dan Brown in the Da Vinci Code book, I don't know if it was said in the movie, but in the book he wrote something like, "It's crazy how we've inherited the gods of our forefathers," something like that. It's true. It's actually scriptural as well. These religious rituals of demon worship are condemned in the Holy Scriptures. Notice in Deuteronomy 32:16-20. They provoked Yahweh to jealousy with their gods. They provoked him to anger with this abomination. They sacrificed to demons, gods, Elohim, which are not of Yahweh, to gods, Elohim. They did not know, to gods newly them. I will see what their end shall be, for they are a perverse generation, children in whom is no faith. You are unmindful of, and you forgot the rock that begot you, our Father who formed you. When Yahweh saw them, he abhorred them because his sons and daughters provoked him. And he said, I will hide my face from them. Why does Yahweh hide his face from us? Because of our sins. I will see what their end shall be, for they are a perverse generation, children in whom is no faith. Notice in Psalm 106:37, it says, and they sacrificed their sons and their daughters to these demons, gods or Elohim. Ignorantly or not, when one celebrates a child's birthday, they are sacrificing, or by prayer or the action of celebrating itself, that son or daughter to pagan gods, just as it has always been done in either ancient or modern rituals of demon worship. I have heard, mostly here and people's posts on Facebook, I don't make judgments of people, but I hear and read, I think I've stated in my last few videos, where people say, well, we don't live in these biblical times. Okay, stop right there. We do live in biblical times. We are living in the 6,000 years that Yahweh has given mankind upon the earth. So we are living in biblical times. As a matter of fact, we are in, like, as far as I remember reading and studying, we are like in the 4th or the 5th seal already. Okay, you see, I think I covered in my videos, the seals have already been going on, been opening. Okay, the prophecy of the white horse of Revelation 6. That white horse has proven to be Christianity through Rome, pagan Rome, ancient Rome, all that stuff, because of all its pagan doctrines and rituals and practices that we've been reading here. Okay, but the same persecuting of Yahweh's saints started in the book of Acts, chapter 8, where the apostle, well, he wasn't an apostle, but when Shaul came and was persecuting those who says, we don't want you here teaching in the name of Yahweh, Yeshua. Okay, that was in Rome. You go to Rome right now, they'll be like, well, nobody really uses those names. We're not in biblical times no more. They'll make all kinds of excuses not to use those names. Okay, they don't want nobody there coming to preach Yahweh's name, Yeshua's name, or Yahweh's laws. They don't want that stuff there. Rome Oh no, no bueno. Okay, but we are living in biblical times within the 6,000 years that Yahweh has given mankind. But it's ridiculous to think those things that well we those things well we do it for the love of the kids. See, people, those are not said ignorantly. You know what you're saying when you say that kind of stuff. Like Halloween, oh well, we just do it for the kids. Halloween, you're still keeping the memorials for the dead, and Christmas, just for example, okay. Let's say the birth of the Messiah was on the December 25th, which is not, but people are keeping it the wrong way anyways. Instead of celebrating the birth of the Messiah, like I said, even though it's not required, people are out there just and drinking and driving around, and thinking that the cops are going to be a lot more lenient because it's Christmas. Let me tell you something, people. The justice system does not sleep. Okay, uh, you might get away if the cop knows you. It might be your brother, your brother-in-law, but it's still wrong. Okay, I stay home and stay out of the way. Okay, so yes, we are living in biblical times. We are living in the 6,000 years. As a matter of fact, we are living in the last years prophesied of in our Bible. So whether you want to say, well, we're doing it for the kids and we're not really putting our heart in it, you're doing it ignorantly, but at the same time, now that you know, and now that you read this and hear me saying it, you're still doing it, and it's still sin. Okay? The Apostle Shaw plainly says in 1 Corinthians 10:21-22, you cannot drink the cup of Yahweh and the cup of demons. You cannot partake of Yahweh's table and of the table of demons. Do we provoke Yahweh to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? We are not nowhere near better or smarter than our Creator. Oh no. He is our great judge. He is our just judge. There's nothing that we can get through him to say, well, okay, yeah, you're right. It's not that bad. It doesn't work that way. Okay. And I know a lot of people, we want to live in sin. And notice I'm saying we want to live in sin and say, wow, we're going to be forgiven anyways. I just told y'all, Yahweh knows our intentions, the thoughts of our hearts, our mind. He knows we're doing it intentionally. Okay. And ignorance, well, I didn't know what I was doing. That's ignorance is not going to excuse us. When one goes through any modern equivalent of this ancient pagan ritual of a birthday celebration, whether it is lighting candles or any of the other rituals previously mentioned, this child being honored is in fact being sacrificed to a demon god to use as this god sees fit. Like I said, you can buy your children gifts whenever you want, but you don't have to teach them that it's okay or it's a beautiful thing because it's his birthday. If it's the day of his birth, just get him a gift and don't say anything. There you go. I mean, that's just my opinion, okay? That's my opinion. You are actually asking this demon god through this ancient yet modern custom to teach your child rebellion and hatred towards Yahweh, just like the gods themselves. Obviously, God worship allows all this stuff, which makes it plays on the minds and the feelings of people. Oh, it's such a beautiful thing. Look what happened to Eve. Look what came to pass to Eve. Okay, again, you use that word Happy. That word originated from the bull god Apis. I almost said it. Look it up. That is where that word comes from. House of Yahweh does not use that word. We use more like came to be or occurred or came to pass. Okay, look what came to pass to Eve. The tree of righteousness and evil appeared to be righteous for knowledge and for the understanding, but she was told not to partake of it. And what did she do? I made a joke one time to a girl, so she was probably a dumb blonde. But anyways, but that's what came to be. It looked good. It looked all right, but she had just been commanded do not partake of it. Okay. So, is it any wonder that this word hates the name of Yahweh, or that it hated Yeshua and his disciples? Yeah, a lot of people don't being like told that they're wrong or that they're sinning. They'd rather be told that you are already a righteous person and you are already saved. Why is it that when people go to prison, that's where they get saved? That is, oh man. Should it be any wonder that this world now hates anyone who follows Yahweh's laws? In the following scriptures, we find this clearly written in John 15:25. But this is to fulfill what is written in the scriptures. They hated me without a cause. And this is written in your Bible too, people. Luke 21:17. I'm saying it because it says what is written in their scriptures. They hated me without a cause. Luke Luke 21:17. And you will be hated of all men for my name's sake. Didn't Yeshua say that uh, he came to cause divisions, and because of his name's sake, people will be hated? Nobody hates you if you love J Christ, right? Bring people together. Obviously, you're worshiping the wrong guy. John 15:18. If the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. 2 Timothy 3:12. Yes, and all who live righteously as Yeshua will suffer persecution. So see, people, we can live righteous like the Messiah. Okay? But people are really going to hate you when you start telling them, well, just found out that the name of our Father is not God, it's Yahweh. Yahweh's not a God. The true and correct name is Yahweh, and the true and correct name of our Messiah is Yeshua. What are you going to do, people? I haven't gotten nearly nowhere that far with my mom because she's a hardcore Catholic. I love my father Yahweh and I love Yeshua more than my mother. And if my mother doesn't want to accept those things, like I said, I think in my last video, once I get my settlement from court, I'm out of here. I gotta go do my own thing. But anyways, I love my mother very much, but I love my father and my Messiah a lot more. Is it any wonder that our own blood relatives turn against us? See, when Yahweh calls us out of this world, Yeshua Messiah plainly said this in Matithia 10 34 to 26. Typo. That's 10:34 through 36. Do not think that I have come to send peace on the earth. I did not come to send peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies will be those of his own house. Now you tell me if that's what Christianity is teaching you, that you can love your, I mean, I'm not telling you you're hating your mom and your dad and your brothers and sisters, but you go right now to your mom's house or your parents' house, or you go to your kid's house and tell them, hey, I've been watching this guy and I have heard through all the sources, been watching this guy lately. I'm not saying particularly me, just people out there that are promoting the house of Yahweh, the true and correct names, say we've been misdirected. Oh, here we go. You know, that's what happens, Dad, Mom. You've been watching too many YouTube videos and God and Christ. I mean, they just come up with, I mean, they hate it. They really hate it. I got that plenty in the feds, believe me, but Yahweh kept me strong and I kept my study group for 7 of those 8.5 years. I didn't care what people said. I know this is the truth. Like I told you on one of my last videos, I first heard the name of Yahweh when I was like either 10 or 11 or 12, when I was still like in grade school or junior high, I think. It made it easy when I came across these studies. But I said to myself, that's the name of God. But as I found out through the book of Daniel, like I showed y'all, Yahweh is not a God. Okay. So all who hate the laws of Yahweh and Yahweh's name and Yeshua's name have been sacrificed to demons, or have been sacrificing to demons. They have been taught to hate Yahweh even though they have never known him. In hating Yahweh, they also hate those who follow him. Yes, they hate us without a cause. You see, people hate because they've been they've been told, they've been corrected. Okay, it is it is these facts, people, that will get you hatred, that will get you persecution, mainly because you're now being guided through the Holy Scriptures and being shown these things. And man, it's kind of hard, like I said, to stand up to somebody. It's hard enough to stand up to one of your friends and say, hey man, it's wrong to smoke weed. I don't see nothing wrong with it. Like I said, it's herbal, and obviously it's done for a great purpose if they're giving it to people, to our loved ones, those who have epileptic seizures and other kind of sicknesses. Obviously, it's for a great purpose, but the abuse of it is wrong. Okay. But anyways, I'm not telling you to go out there and start smoking weed. That's not what I'm saying. But yeah, it's real hard. It takes a lot people to tell people, look, we've been we've been led wrong. There's finally somebody here in the U.S. teaching us these things that say, hey, look, but this is our choice. This is my choice. I made a choice and I'm sticking with it. But like I said, I fell along the way knowingly and willfully. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing is wrong. And I kick myself in the butt sometimes. Hey, stop doing that. You already know that's wrong. But I try my best to think of what I'm going to do, of partaking in somebody's parties. Ain't nothing wrong with coming home and drinking a couple of beers. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Even the Apostle Shaw told the Corinthians, drink a little wine for your infirmaries, for your sicknesses, for your illnesses, or whatever that word is. But to leave a lot of this stuff behind, it takes a challenge to bring it to your families, to your loved ones, to your friends. And even if you're a pastor at your own place of worship, say, hey, look, um, like I said in one of my last videos, there's still time to bring these truths to people, because the time's going to come when it's going to be too late. But like we've read, even if we do use the name Yahweh and Yeshua, but we are still living a life of sin, he's going to say, get away from me, I never knew you. Okay, so not just calling on the name of Yahweh and Yeshua is going to bring us salvation, or does it mean anything righteous if we're not keeping Yahweh's laws of righteousness, you know? And I know it's hard a lot of times, like in one of the studies we say, go out now and go and try and find a job that'll let you rest on the weekend. It's kind of hard. They're going to ask you why. They're going to tell you, well, you're going to say, well, I'm a Sabbath keeper. They're going to tell you, hey, man, do you want to work or not? That's why the application says, regardless of race, religion, skin color, sex, they don't care. They, they want people to work. That's what they want. Obviously, a lot of these same people are Christians, but they won't let you rest on the Sabbath. What does that tell you? But that's okay for them, for some of these businesses to go and rest on Sunday. Sunday is not the rest day. It never has been, never will be. Because this government has allowed it does not mean it's the right day of rest. Okay. But anyways, we will continue more on the next video. Like I said, I like to cut these down to about an hour. And feel free to like and subscribe. And again, the comment section is open to these videos. So if you have any comments, keep them clean, keep them respectful. Like I said, I will not answer idiotic people. I don't have time for that, okay? I appreciate doing this, and I appreciate the few subscribers I got, and I appreciate doing this because it helps me better understand what it is I'm living by and or putting out there, okay? So until the next video, y'all have a great day. Shalom.